Hello everyone, this is Science Vines and you're watching the audiovisual chapter of Class 11th Biology. This is the first part of Chapter 20, Locomotion and Movement. Movement is one of the significant features of living beings. Animals and plants exhibit a wide range of movements. Streaming of protoplasm in the unicellular organisms like amoeba is a simple form of movement. Movement of cilia, flagella and tentacles are shown by many organisms. Human beings can move limbs, jaws, eyelids, tongue, etc. Some of the movements result in a change of place or location. Such voluntary movements are called locomotion. Walking, running, climbing, flying, swimming are all some form of locomotory movements. Locomotory structures need not to be different from those affecting other type of movements. For example, in paramecium, cilia helps in the movement of food through cytopharynx and in locomotion as well. Hydra can use its tentacles for capturing its prey and also use them for locomotion. We use limbs for changes in body postures and locomotion as well. The above observation suggests that movements and locomotion cannot be studied separately. The two may be linked by stating that all locomotions are movements, but all movements are not locomotions. Methods of locomotion performed by animals vary with their habitats and the demand of the situation. However, locomotion is generally for search of food, shelter, mate, suitable breeding grounds, favorable climatic conditions, or to escape from enemies or predators. Now, type of movement. Cells of the human body exhibit three main type of movements, namely amoeboid, ciliary, and muscular. Some specialized cells in our body like macrophages and leukocytes in blood exhibit amoeboid movement. It is affected by the pseudopodia formed by the streaming of protoplasm as in amoeba. Cytoskeletal elements like microfilaments are also involved in amoeboid movement. Ciliary movement occurs in most of our internal tubular organs which are lined by ciliated epithelium. The coordinated movement of cilia in the trachea help us in removing dust particles and some of the foreign substances inhaled along with the atmospheric air. Passage of ova through the female reproductive tract is also facilitated by the ciliary movement. Movement of our limbs, jaw, tongue, etc. require muscular movement. The contractile property of muscles are effectively used for locomotion and other movements by human beings and majority of multicellular animals or organisms. Locomotion requires a perfect coordinated activity of muscular, skeletal and neural systems. In this chapter you will learn about the type of muscles, their structure, mechanism of their contraction and important aspects of the skeletal system. Muscle. You have studied in chapter 8 that the cilia and flagella are the outgrowths of the cell membrane. Flagellar movement helps in the swimming of spermatozoa, maintenance of water current in the canal systems of sponges, and in locomotion of protozoans like Euglena. Muscle is a specialized tissue of mesodermal origin. About 40 to 50% of the body weight of a human adult is contributed by muscles. They have special properties like excitability, contractility, extensibility, and elasticity. Muscles have been classified using different criteria, namely location, appearance, and nature of regulation of their activities. Based on their location, three types of muscles are identified: skeletal, visceral, and cardiac. Skeletal muscles are closely associated with the skeletal components of the body. They have a striped appearance under the microscope and hence are called striated muscles. As their activities are under the voluntary control of the nervous system, they are known as voluntary muscles too. They are primarily involved in locomotory actions and changes of body postures. Visceral muscles are located in the inner walls of hollow visceral organ of the body like the alimentary canal, reproductive tract, etc. They do not exhibit any striation and are smooth in appearance. Hence, they are called smooth muscles or non-striated muscles. Their activities are not under the voluntary control of the nervous system and are therefore known as involuntary muscles. They assist, for example, in transportation of food, through the digestive tract and gametes through the genital tract. As the name suggests, cardiac muscles are the muscles of heart. Many cardiac muscle cells assemble in a branching pattern to form a cardiac muscle. Based on appearance, cardiac muscles are striated. They are involuntary in nature as the nervous system does not control their activities directly. Let us examine a skeletal muscle in detail to understand the structure and mechanism of contraction. Each organized skeletal muscle in our body is made of a number of muscle bundles or fascicles held together by a common collagenous connective tissue layer called fascia. Each muscle bundle contains a number of muscle fibers. Each muscle fiber is lined by the plasma membrane called sarcolemma, enclosing the sarcoplasm. Muscle fiber is a syncytium as the sarcoplasm contains many nuclei. The endoplasmic reticulum, that is sarcoplasmic reticulum of the muscle fiber, is the storehouse of calcium ions. A characteristic feature of the muscle fiber is the presence of a large number of parallelly arranged filaments in the sarcoplasm called myofilaments or myofibrils. Each myofibril has alternate dark and light bands on it. A detailed study of the myofibrils has established that the striated appearance is due to the distribution of pattern of two important proteins, actin and myosin. The light bands contain actin and is called I band or isotropic band, whereas the dark band called A or anisotropic band contains myosin. Both the proteins are arranged as rod-like structures, parallel to each other and also to the longitudinal axis of the myofibrils. Actin filaments are thinner as compared to the myosin filaments. Hence, are commonly called the thin and thick fibrous filaments respectively. In the center of each I band is an elastic fiber called Z line, which bisects it. The thin filaments are firmly attached to the Z line. The thick filaments in the A band are also held together in the middle of this band by a thin fibrous membrane called M line. The A and I bands are arranged alternatively through the length of the myofibrils. The portion of the myofibril between two successive Z lines is considered as the functional unit of contraction and is called a sarcomere. In a resting state, the edges of the thin filaments on either side of the thick filaments partially overlap the free ends of the thick filaments, leaving the central part of the thick filaments. The central part of the thick filament not overlapped by thin filaments is called the H zone. Now, structure of contractile protein. Each actin or thin filament is made of two F or filamentous or actins, helically wound to each other. Each F actin is a polymer of monomeric G actin or globular actin. Two filaments of another protein, tropomyosin, also run close to the F actins throughout its length. A complex protein troponin is distributed at regular intervals on the tropomyosin. In the resting state, a subunit of troponin masks the active binding site for myosin on the actin filaments. Each myosin or thick filament is also a polymerized protein. Many monomeric proteins called meromyosins constitute one thick filament. Each meromyosin has two important parts, a globular head with a short arm and a tail, the former being called the heavy meromyosin and the latter the light meromyosin. The HMM component, that is, the head and the short arm, projects outward at regular distance and angle from each other from the surface of polymerized myosin filament and is known as cross arm. The globular head is an active ATPase enzyme and has binding site for ATP and active sites of actin. Mechanism of muscle contraction. Mechanism of muscle contraction is best explained by the sliding filament theory, which states that contraction of a muscle fiber takes place by the sliding of the thin filaments over the thick filaments. Muscle contraction is initiated by a signal sent by the central nervous system CNS via motor neuron. A motor neuron along with the muscle fiber connected to it constitute a motor unit. The junction between a motor neuron and the sarcolemma of the muscle fiber is called the neuromuscular junction or motor end plate. A neural signal reaching this junction releases a neurotransmitter, acetylcholine, which generates an action potential in the sarcolemma. This spreads through the muscle fiber and causes the release of calcium ion into the sarcoplasm. Increase in calcium ion level leads to the binding of calcium with a subunit of troponin on actin filament and thereby removing the masking of active sites for myosin. Utilizing the energy from ATP hydrolysis, the myosin head now binds to the exposed active sites on actin to form a cross bridge. This pulls the attached actin filaments towards the center of A band. The Z line attached to these actin are also pulled inwards, thereby causing the shortening of sarcomere, that is contraction. It is clear from the above steps that during shortening of the muscles, that is contraction, the I bands get reduced whereas the A band retain the length. The myosin releasing the ADP and phosphate ion goes back to its relaxed state. A new ATP binds and the cross bridge is broken. The ATP is again hydrolyzed by the myosin head and the cycle of cross bridge formation and breakage is repeated, causing further sliding. The process continues till the calcium ions are pumped back to the sarcoplasmic cisternae, resulting in the masking of actin filaments. This causes the return of Z lines back to their original position, that is relaxation. The reaction time of the fibers can vary in different muscles. Repeated activation of the muscle can lead to the accumulation of lactic acid due to anaerobic breakdown of a glycogen in them, causing fatigue. Muscle contains a red colored oxygen storing pigment called myoglobin. Myoglobin content is high in some of the muscles, which gives a reddish appearance. Such muscles are called the red fibers. These muscles also contain plenty of mitochondria, which can utilize the large amount of oxygen stored in them for ATP production. These muscles therefore can also be called aerobic muscles. On the other hand, some of the muscles possess very less quantity of myoglobin and therefore appear pale or whitish. These are the white fibers. Number of mitochondria are also few in them, but the amount of sarcoplasmic reticulum is high. They depend on anaerobic process of energy. Here we end the first part of the chapter 20, locomotion and movement. To watch more such videos, do subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so you don't miss any video. And if you want us to create more such videos on any other book or subject, do mention in the comment section please. Like and share the video to keep us motivated to create such content. Thank you for watching the video. Bye bye. Love.